Good morning, my dear student friends. In my previous class, I completed one lesson from the text, and the title of the lesson was Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish by Steve Jobs. With that, I completed all the 5 lessons from the text. Now, I want to complete one lesson from the non-detailed section. As you know, our non-detailed section consisting of 5 lessons. Out of 5, I completed 3 and 2 remain. And today, I am going to take one poem, and the title of the poem is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was the author of the poem Still I Rise. Her original name was Margaret Annie Johnson Angelou. She was a writer, she was an editor, filmmaker, director, scriptwriter, civil activist, social worker, and there were many. She was the one writer who won one of the most prestigious awards of America, that is the President Medal of Freedom. And she received that award from Barack Obama. Today, there were nearly 30 hospitals in America were named after her. She received more than 50 honorary degrees from various universities. That was the greatness of Maya Angelou, and who was the author of this poem, Still I Rise. As a writer, she wrote a number of poems, and the present poem, Still I Rise, is one of the masterpieces written by her. And she wrote her autobiography, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. And that was one of the beautiful autobiography written by Maya Angelou. Now, what is the theme of the poem? The present poem, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou, deals with 3 themes. Theme number 1, oppression. Theme number 2, racism. And the theme number 3, sexism. Oppression means tyranny. Means, as already told you while telling the poem Telephone Conversation, the American society was divided based on skin color. There were 2 skin-colored people in American society. One was black and other one was white. The whites are rich, educated, they have plenty of jobs in their hands, economically sound. Coming to blacks, most of the blacks are uneducated, living below poverty line, poor, I can say. And the whites, whenever they have an opportunity, they used to exploit their financial power. Whenever there is an opportunity, they used to show their dominance towards blacks, and that is called as oppression. The first theme of the poem is oppression. Oppression means the whites, how they dominate blacks. Dominance of whites on blacks, we can say like that. The second theme of the poem is racism. There are 2 races in American society. One is Native American race, and the second one is Afro-American race. Constitutionally, these 2 races are equal. It was written in the Constitution, both of them are equal. But it was written only on the paper, not in the society. So whites, whenever they have an opportunity, they used to dominate blacks, and that is called as racism. You can see clear-cut division in American society as far as blacks and whites are concerned. The third theme of the poem was sexism. Like Indian society, American society is also dominated by male. Men dominate women. Just like the other lesson from the text, from the non-detailed text, that is Virginia Woolf, Shakespeare's sister. And Virginia Woolf said that beating a wife is a legal right to a husband, because in the past, even in the present also, majority of the societies are male-dominated societies. So Maya Angelou wants to tell three things by writing this poem. One is oppression, second one is racism, and third one is sexism. How men dominate women. These are the three things Maya Angelou wants to tell by writing this poem. Universality in the poem. Still I Rise is a universal poem. It means it's a poem not only applicable to American society but also to the societies of the world or to the other societies. You can apply this poem to the Americans, or you can apply to this poem to the Indian society, or you can apply this poem to the European society, etc. and etc., where minorities are fighting for their rights. So that is why we can say that it's a universal poem, and universal poem means applicable to all, not to one particular society or particular country. It is applicable to entire world. That's the greatness of this poem. There are 43 lines in the poem, and the writer asked nearly 7 questions. The poem deals with different topics, and topics like politics, history, trade, oppression, social issues, individual rights, slavery, and peaceful protest, etc. and etc. And all these are the topics covered in this poem, and all these topics are universal. So that's why we can say that this poem is a universal poem. For your sake, I'm going to read the poem first, then I'm going to explain the poem line by line, and in the end I'm going to give you a critical summary of the poem. If you have a copy, just go through it. Otherwise, you can do one thing. Just go to Google and type "Still I Rise" and you will get the original poem. And while I am reading, just go through it, and later I am going to give you line by line explanation. Okay, the poem starts like this. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may throw me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with the gloom? 'Cause I walk like I have got oil well pumping in my living room. Just like moon, like sun, and with certainty of tide, just like hope's spring high, still I rise. Do you want to see me broken, and bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulder falling down like a tear drops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I have gold mine digging in my own backyard. And you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like a air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? And does it come as a surprise that I dance like I have got a golden diamond at my meeting of my ties? And out of heart of history, shame, I rise. Up from the past that rooted in pain, I rise. I am black ocean leaping and wide, and wheeling and swelling I bear into tide. Leaving behind night of terror and fear, I rise. And into the daybreak that wondrous clear, I rise. and bringing the grief of my ancestor grave. I am the dream and hope of slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And this is how the original poem written by Mayor Angelou. Now I would like to give you explanation line by line, stanza wise. I'm going to read you the first stanza. You may write me down in history with your bitter twitter lies, and you may toad me in the very dirt, but still like a dust I'll rise. Now first line. You may write me down in history with your bitter twisted lies. The American history is written by the whites. Whites wrote a number of things about blacks, but all those are lies because all those are written by whites. Okay, so that's why all those literature is lie. And you may write me down in history with your bitter twisted lies. You may toad me in the very dirt, but still like dust I will rise. You may toad me into the very dirt. You may crush me into the dust. You may crush me in the dust, but I will rise like a dust from the earth. Okay. You may suppress me, but I will rise. So that is the total summary of the first stanza. The second stanza. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I have got oil well pumping in my living room. That's about the second stanza. Now, the second stanza, first line. Does my sassiness upset you? Sassiness means confidence, liveliness. Does my confidence upset you? Does my liveliness upset you? Why are you beset? Beset means affected. With gloom. Gloom means sad. Why are you looking so sad? So the writer is asking the Americans, white Americans, why they are very sad. So she is telling that the white Americans are very sad because the blacks are very, very confident. Very, very liveliness. So after seeing confidence and liveliness in blacks, the whites are sad. And she also said, "Cause I will walk like I have got oil well pumping in my living room." So the whites are thinking that the blacks are very rich, they are confident because they have a lot of money, and because of that, because they have oil wells in their living rooms. So because of that, blacks are very confident, and because of that, whites are very sad. That's what the second stanza means. Now the third stanza. Just like moon like suns, with certainty of tide, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. The third stanza, first line. Just like moons and suns, with certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high. Now, the first line, we have two objects. One is moon and second one is sun. Sun and moon are universal objects. Nobody can control them. Nobody has the power to control sun or moon. They are universal. They are very powerful. So the writer wants to say that the black Afro-Americans are as powerful as the sun and moon. And second line, just with certainty of tides, nobody can control tide, high tide or low tide. And with just like hopes springing high, I have hopes. My hopes are very, very big. I have a hope that one day the black Afro-Americans will be on par with white Americans. And still I rise. With that hope, I rise, still I rise. So the total meaning of the third stanza is, as sun and moon cannot be controlled by anyone, nobody can control black Afro-Americans. They are very powerful, and the black Afro-Americans will be one day will be on par with white Americans. That's what the writer wants to say by the third stanza. The fourth stanza. Do you want to see me broken and bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops weakening by my soulful cries? The writer asked three questions in this stanza. Question number one. Do you want to see me broken? Do you want to see me with a broken heart? Do the Americans want to see blacks with so many problems? Bowed head and lowered eyes. Lowered eyes means a lack of confidence. If you have confidence, you are going to maintain eye contact. If you don't have, then you are not going to maintain eye contact. Bowed head. So when are you going to bow down your head? If you do anything wrong, you are going to bow down your head. So do Americans want to see blacks with bowed down head and lack of confidence in their eyes? Shoulders falling down like a teardrops with a drooping shoulders. And if you have confidence, you are going to maintain a good shoulder position. And if you don't have a confidence, your shoulders will droop down. So do you want to see black Afro-Americans with a drooping shoulders? And these are the three questions the writer asked the Americans. The fifth stanza. Does my heightness offend you? And do you take it awful hard? Cause I laugh like I have got gold mine digging in my own backyard. So does my heightness offend you? Here heightness means arrogance. So does my arrogance affect you? And don't you take care it awful hard? So do you take it very hard? And cause I laugh like I have got gold mine digging in my own backyard. So after looking at my arrogance, you may think that I have a gold mine in my garden or in my backyard. You may think like that, but that's not right. Now the sixth stanza. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. You may shoot me with your words, you may use unparliamentary language, you may criticize me, or you may abuse me. You may cut me with your eyes, with your eyesight, you may insult me. You may kill me with your hatefulness you may kill me. But still, like air I rise, but just like air, I will rise from earth. That is the total meaning of the sixth stanza. The next stanza. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as surprise that I dance like I have got a diamond at the meeting of my thighs? There are two questions in the stanza. The first question is, does my sexiness upset you? That's the first question. And the last question, that I dance like I have got a diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. These are the two questions that she asked in the stanza. In the beginning of the poem, I told you the poem deals with the three things, or the three themes. One is oppression, second one is racism, and the third one is sexism. While telling sexism, I told you the American society is dominated by male. It's a male-dominated society, just like Indian society. So she was asking a question to the American society, or indirectly she was asking American men a question. Does my sexiness upset you? Does my sex upset you? By looking at a woman, do you upset? Or do you upset by looking at a woman? Does it come as surprise? Are you surprised by looking at a woman? That I dance like I have got a diamond at the meeting of my thighs. So you may think that I am very, very happy, I am very confident, I am very comfortable because I have a rare sex, because I am gifted by a God. And you may think that I have diamonds between my thighs. So you may think that I am very happy, but I am not happy. That's what she want to tell to the Americans. The next stanza. Out of the hurt of history's shame I rise, up from the past that rooted in pain I rise. I am the black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. So, the first one. Out of the hurt of history's shame I rise from the history. By reading history, you may come to know that there are so many incidents where blacks were oppressed by the white Americans. From those oppressions and suppressions, I rise. Up from the past that rooted in pain, I rise. There are so many painful incidents in the history, but I never bothered, but I rise. I am black ocean, leaping and wide. I am a black ocean. I am very, very powerful, like ocean. And very wide. I am black ocean, leaping and wide, wailing and swelling, I bear in tide. Whatever the problems may be, I will face. I am ready to face them. But still, I have confidence to rise. So this stanza tells us the confidence levels of blacks. The last stanza of the poem. Leaving behind the nights of terror and fear I rise, into the daybreak that wondrous clear I rise, bringing the gift that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. The summary of the last stanza is like this. Leaving behind the nights of terror and fear I rise. I rise from the nights of terror, means by reading the history of America, you may come to know how brutally the whites murdered, killed blacks. So leaving behind the night of terror, I am not going to bother about those incidents, but I will rise. Into the daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise, whatever it may be. I'm not going to bother about those terrorist incidents. I don't have any fear. Into a daybreak that wondrously clear I rise. I'm not going to bother about the history. I have the confidence. I will rise. And bringing the gift that my ancestors gave. My ancestors gave me a lot of confidence, lot of courage. That is enough. I will rise. I am the dream and the hope of slave. My ancestors were brought to America like slaves. They were forcefully brought from Africa to America like slaves. I am the dream and the hope of slaves. To those slaves, to my ancestors, I am the only hope. My ancestors gave me a lot of confidence, a lot of courage, and these two things are enough. I can fight against these whites. I rise, I rise, I rise. I have the confidence. One day I will definitely rise. I have the courage that I will fight against these white Americans. I rise. I have the confidence. One day the black Afro-Americans will be on par with the white Native Americans. And that is the total meaning of the last stanza. The last stanza ends with a lot of confidence. That by reading the last paragraph, you come to know that she wanted to inject confidence in blacks or in the readers. And that's the end of the poem, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Thank you.